the biggest loss for me for the record is a cover, actually. And you can find it on the playback box set. It's not on YouTube right now. There's a live performance, but there's a song called The Image of Me, which had been like one of Conway Twitty's first hit in 1965. And Denny Cordell, the guy that produced the first few albums of the Heartbreakers, and then kind of went away. Jimmy Iovine took over, and then Petty himself tried to produce Southern accents and brought Iovine back to kind of salvage the quagmire. Anyway, Denny Cordell came back in to hang out during the Southern accent sessions, and the band cut a cover of The Image of Me, and the studio version that Cordell produced is maybe the best sounding thing the Heartbreakers ever recorded, just like as far as sound goes. Campbell's guitar is incredible. It's an incredible song. And they cut that. It seemed fully a part of what could have been thematically coherent Southern accents, but it was left to the side with a bunch of other songs.
So that leads to my question. Yeah, there are 26 songs, according to your book, that were competing for inclusion on what would have been a double album. Mm-hmm. Do we even know why he left these off? Like that cover, Conway Twitty's.
I think the reason that was left off was is there a cover on any other Heartbreakers album? I don't think there is, except for the live album. Like on Pack at the Plantation, they do Shout.
Yes.
I think
which I love.
There's also Rock and Roll Star. I mean, there are live, they're a great cover band, right? And so there's on some of the live tracks or live sets, there's covers, but I don't think there's actually a cover on any of the original albums. And so that's an easy answer for why that was left to the side.
Okay.
Because they did play it live some, and there are live performances on YouTube which are inferior to the one you can find on playback. This was, at that point, it was the longest session they had ever done, right? They tried to self-produce. It was an artistically ambitious record or ambitious impulse. They had no one at the helm. I think Mike and Tom were going to produce it. They kind of did not keep control of things. There was a lot of drug use going on at the time. This was also the period of time where Petty pulverized his hand against a wall out of frustration one night because he couldn't get a mix right on a song, imperiling his ability to play guitar ever again. He ended up being able to, but it was touch and go there. There was a lot of frustration after they got stuck in the mud. Oh, and so then partially in, he met this guy, Dave Stewart, who was Annie Lennox's partner in the Eurythmics. And he starts writing songs with Dave, which are very different songs. Don't Come Around Here No More is one of 3 that he co-wrote with Dave that is included in Southern accents. Don't Come Around Here No More is a bit of a triumph. The other 2, I think, are pretty bad. So he's getting distracted. It's going on too long. He's getting distracted. There's lots of fatigue. There's lots of drug use. There's lots of frustration. And then they bring Jimmy Iovine in, who had been producing them in previous albums. And Iovine's like, let's just get the show on the road. And he just cuts it down to 9 tracks, and they finish it and put it out. I think that's how it ended up as what it is. It was an expedient way to just wrap up something that had gone on too long. Now,
which is surprising. You would think every artist, it would be like, no, we're going to make this right. But that's not always the case. I mean, there's a lot of outside influences, not just drugs or alcohol, but it's just the business of it. It's like, let's go. We got to get this done. We're under, we got time constraints. The label wants the record.
Yeah. So I mean, there's that. So a devil's advocate argument would be, well, then how can you even say that this was supposed to be a concept album about the American South? Right. Which I feel like is a fair question. And then the response to that would be, well, because that's how he talked about it afterwards. Right. That's how he marketed it. The ones that really stand out are Trailer and Apartment Song. I think
Trailer and Apartment Song ends up on Full Moon Fever.
It does, but a different recording. It's listed as a demo on most of the places you can find it, most of the official places you can find it. But I think it ends up being superior to the one that was recorded, the final product that was recorded and released on Full Moon Fever, primarily because Stevie Nicks is on it. And she's there doubling the lines along with Tom, harmonizing. And it adds such a wild dimension to the song, to the performance. It just feels like it's such a better piece of work. And it was reduced, it was diminished in impact the way that it was finally released on Full Moon Fever.
Trailer, Walking from the Fire.
Yeah, that was released on American Treasure a couple of years ago. That was released in the run up to the book coming out, actually.
Okay.
And it's, I think it's much better than some of the stuff that made it onto the final album.
Big Boss Man?
Yeah, Big Boss Man's also a cover, which is probably why it was cut.
It is,
it's
okay.
Nick Lowe song, I think.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
That's noted.
So that's why it probably didn't make it, I would say.